Welcome to PlayStation Versus. Don't forget to like and subscribe. There has been a slew of narratives out there regarding the PlayStation or console gaming, actually, and PC. So I just kind of wanted to really tackle this, really sink my teeth in this bullshit, because I believe honestly that everything has its place, everything has its purpose. Everybody, each platform has its perks and things of that nature. Now, you probably heard this like a million and one times, when it comes to PC versus consoles, right? And that, kumbaya type bullshit that, everything can exist. But different demographics really kind of transpire with each platform. That's something that you can't deny. Like cell phone games can't really breed fighting games. Nobody really wants to play a fighting game on a cell phone. That's just the nature of the beast. So without further ado, let's really sink our teeth into this bullshit. And when it comes to PC versus console gaming, the first thing I want to actually go over is what a driver is, which is a lot of people don't know what that is. That usually fucks with consoles. And a lot of PC gamers don't tell the complete truth about what a driver is as well. They claim that it's plug and play, that the system does automatic updates. So anyway, let's go over it. A driver is a system component that lets the operating system and the device communicate with each other. To break down and put quite simply as to what that means, because there's so many different configurations, AMD versus Intel, I guess AMD again versus NVIDIA, or Radeon versus NVIDIA, all, different levels of graphic cards, different keyboards, different mouses, all sorts of things need some sort of translator. Something has to translate it, and usually the drivers are the language between the software and the hardware itself. As you can probably already tell, things could go seriously wrong with that. Like seriously wrong with drivers because of so many different configurations. Yes, there's mixing and matching, and yes, you can get somebody to build it, but also games have their own compatibility with certain devices and things of that nature. It just makes the situation a lot more complicated that consoles don't really have to go through. They just don't. You have one box, and that's pretty much the end of it. It does go through its updates, so don't get it fucked up. And there is like a meshing or merging of the two in terms of the concepts. But let's be honest here. It's only one piece of hardware. Let's not fuck that up, right? That being said, here what I could say, because I did my little research on this one, the differences and the complications of PC gaming other than the drivers. Games require tweaking specific options at the menu. I mean, you talk about anisotropic filtering, shadows, all this other stuff that console players don't really like to fuck with or don't really care to fuck with. Just give me the game and just tell me something really simple. Now, PC players likes to tinker with this shit. That's their MO. They love it. But there are people that like the convenience of just, you just turn on the game and call it a day, which I would call plug and play, which a lot of PC gamers claim that PC is plug and play. It is not. But it is a little more complicated than it used to be when it comes to console gaming. Also, I got into a really interesting discussion in regard to if PC was, more complicated than consoles. Just off the strength of the input device. There are usually two input devices that you need when it comes to a computer, a keyboard and mouse, let alone all the buttons that come along with it. So you got less buttons to worry about when it comes to consoles. You got one input device. Automatically off the rip, that means that it's simpler to work with. Point blank, period. That's just the end of that story. It's funny because there was a narrative going around stating that, yeah, you don't really have to worry about anything else that comes along with console gaming. Yes, you do. When it comes to PC gaming, they're not the same. It is a lot more going on, like I said, with the drivers. Also, buttons, inputs. You know what I mean? Fuck, you can go to the store and replace certain things. It's just lots of things could go wrong. Yeah, you could look at Digital Foundry, which I don't particularly like, but they like their PCs. If you really look at it, Horizon Zero Dawn which is an old game. The PC, a powerful PC should be able to run it, but it wasn't able to run it properly because of all the driver issues. Some things were just not compatible, especially if you had an NVIDIA hardware. AMD makes the fucking hardware on the consoles. So just certain things that that were not compatible. I've even seen Let's Plays of Horizon Zero Dawn where it had to take all of the drivers and compile it again for NVIDIA hardware. Shit like that, console players are not accustomed to and don't want to fuck with. That's what we mean by plug and play. And let's not forget this. The price of admission is really what's going on with console gaming. It is cheaper to jump into console gaming versus the PC, period. Now, overall, you do pay more on a console. That's the funny thing. But they get you in there, hook, line, and sinker when it comes to the actual getting the device. And we're going to talk about the intricacies of this shit too when it comes to what Sony is doing. So let's go on to that one. The next question is Sony abandoning consoles? I keep seeing this over and over and over again. You know, and the signs point to no. Let's just get that out of the way. Spoiler alert, no. So I want to break down the gaming industry as a whole and what's going on with it in the past 2 years. So gaming was the most lucrative entertainment industry by far, with a worth of $145 billion in 2019 compared to $42 billion for the box office and $20 billion for music. Packaged games, so had earned $10 billion, you know, and that's down from $11 billion the year prior. But DLC, the stuff that you can download, is worth $28 billion as of 2021. That includes all the consoles and PC. 80% of the gaming revenue is coming from digital. That's as of 2018. They don't have to make packets. They don't have to make drill cases. You know what I'm saying? You just download the game. It's fucking 100. Just the servers. Like probably 95% of the revenue you get for the game is yours when it comes to the market. 50% of development comes from PC games. You know what I mean? So it is about a total of 3 billion people gaming, and that includes cell phones and things of that nature. Now we're going to break this shit down because apparently a lot of people don't know what the fuck that means. Free-to-play games, which again, we talk about the price of admission. Free-to-play games where you have to download or purchase outfits and things of that nature rule the roast when it comes to PC gaming. You have a lot of survival games. I forgot what the most recent one, Valheim or something like that nature. It's making a killing. You know what I'm saying? And you got to look at that. It's making a killing because of the price of admission and just the demographic for PC gamers. They kind of like that tinkering and building shit. So when you get games like Minecraft or other games where you have to build your own shit, they like that shit. They love it, you know? So let's go back to Sony. Sony made $22 billion last year off of their PlayStation. You know what I mean? And that's not profit. That's just how much money was earned. Now, don't get this shit fucked up. They did spend money to make the PS5 and the R&D. But you know how much Sony is worth? Do you know how much Sony is worth? That's the funny thing. I keep laughing at this. As of 2020, they were worth, in terms of how much money they have, $45 billion. They made $22 billion off of the PlayStation Store, whether you buy games or DLC or whatever the case is. Why on earth? Why the fuck would you get rid of that? They won't. They absolutely won't. And, I just don't understand that narrative. You know what I'm saying? So, no, they're not going anywhere when it comes to the consoles. It's a walled garden when you have a console and when you buy shit like that. They're not going anywhere. You know what I'm saying? Now, you got to ask your question. Where is Sony actually going, though? Based off of all of the stuff that we just figured out, a lot of people like the survival type things where you build your own shit. That's why Animal Crossing was successful, because you build stuff. And then there's a lot of multiplayer. So I believe What they're going to end up doing is starting to do, type of games as a service, but with the Sony quality attached to that shit. You know, they're probably going to use their first party stuff the package games, to kind of rope you into it, and then have like a B team make these, games as a service where they can put it onto a PC and have it on the consoles as free to play. That way, you know what I mean? You're not disrupting PlayStation Plus when it comes to the pricing. Um, I see more and more multiplayer games. You know, what funny thing is, when you look at this particular game, Astro's Playroom, I could see them because they have so different genres that you can kind of mold, and Astrobot is malleable. I could see them making some sort of an Animal Crossing type game. We have a community of little bots that you can, configure, along with a whole bunch of other things you can do with this particular game. So whether you like it or not that they're going to go to the survival type games, that's probably where it's going, because Sony looks like they're following the money. That's what it looks like they're doing. Another interesting narrative that I've been seeing online is that Sony just wants to put all their games on PC. They're just like, we're making so much money. Well, I got news for you, right? So I was looking at this shit too. I found it very interesting. This news just kind of broke, especially with that Valheim or whatever the fuck that early access game is. They actually, no PlayStation port exclusive surpassed like 3 million. Whereas that early access game did like 3 million within a week. And what that tells me is a couple of different things, right? It tells me that they're really just looking to eke out extra money. You know what I'm saying? I'm pretty sure that they probably sold like 2 million, even if it's 1 million. You times that by 50, that's like 40 something million. And if they have to pay half to Steam or Epic, store, then you got 20 million. It's easy money. And it also puts your games on the spotlight. Now, as I said in the other part of my video, it is very, very true that games on PC just have a different demographic. It does appear that they're not interested in those story-driven type situations. At least not yet. I don't know exactly what's going to pan out, but it looks like Sony's trying to make easy money and provide that particular optics, or where they could see those types of games for the people that do not want to buy a console. They spend all that money on a PC, and they're not going to go there. Now, going back to exclusives matter, it's just in that Epic Games, Epic Studios or Epic Store, whatever the fuck, Epic, whatever, they purchased the developers of Fall Guy. Why did they do that? Because they can get money. Those exclusives matter. Even if it's a mere timed exclusive, exclusives matter. People are also afraid of day and date that's coming out for, that they're afraid that Sony's going to do day and date shit. I don't believe they're going to do day and date. I don't believe that they're going to do day and date. And here's the reason why. Not for every game. You remember that free to play situation I mentioned earlier in the video? If they can get like their B teams from Naughty Dog to make like a survival type game that's based off of The Last of Us, which everybody played the single player situation, and they make like a factions type thing, and you don't have to pay online because it's free to play, and you can buy your equipment, all that good shit. That may be day and date, but for the mainline shit, it's probably not going to be day and date unless it gets too old and it stops selling. That's what I kind of see Sony doing. And last but not least, Sony is a company. They want money. This is not fan service. Get that out your head. Stop using things like PlayStation exclusives. You better stop using that shit. You want to play yourself, you better start saying PlayStation games has the quality, or Sony games have the quality, because get used to them putting shit out on different platforms. Get used to it.